3, and that starts with the questions of the zoning boards, and it's the last paragraph. Just that the typo says, considerably expressed concerns that the project is draining on police and fire. He understands what the goal is, and it says he would lie to have it done with no extensions. It's supposed to stay, and would like to have it done with no extensions. So that's just a typo, so I've actually changed that and initialed it. And if there's a motion, I will take a motion to approve the minutes as submitted with that edit.
Motion made.
Motion by Bobby, is there a second?
Yeah, sure.
Second by Dave. All those in favor? Opposed? That is unanimous. Okay. All right, since this is a continued hearing, I'm going to read the notice as we wait for board member to show up. So this is on the continued application of the Gutierrez Company, 200 Summer Drive, Burlington, for a comprehensive, oh, by the way, good evening, everyone. I am sorry. You all set over there? We good? All right, thank you. A little bit crazy tonight. Again, this is on the continued application for the 40B, General Laws, Chapter 40B, for 200 Summer Drive for the ownership of the Gutierrez Company for a comprehensive permit in relation to a 25-acre, more or less, parcel of land off Deer Street. And it's known as Assessor Sheet 14, Lot 4. The petitioner proposes to develop and construct a 150-unit rental development on the site, with not less than 37 of the units to be restricted as affordable for low to moderate income, pursuant to the applicable provisions of the law and required by the financing agency. Project eligibility letter was issued by Mass Housing in relation to the site on October 24th. Just so board members are aware, we did get some communication in, and this was on April 7th, and this was from Jerry Edens, which is 13 Tina Road, Precinct 7. I'm just going to briefly paraphrase this. She had shown up at the last 40B hearings, and as she stated and attended the public hearing on February 25th, she understands and supports the needs for increased affordable housing in Milford. However, they have concerns regarding the substantial negative impacts on currently proposed developments within the community. And then on March 13th, regarding the hearing and application of the Gutierrez Company, I questioned a number of the proposed units and noted that you and the board would like to consider that, as Mr. Consigli noted, these developments will place additional pressure on police and fire departments. In addition, this is a public safety issue. I also worried that about the development's burden on the increasingly limited amount of water supply and on our schools, and we cannot consider any aspects of the school situation. And therefore, she and her group are proposing to limit the number of units to Stone Ridge 3. And again, she appreciates the continuous due diligence of the board and members of the board, and also all departments. So with that, tonight's hearing, as we know, the panel members, John Mustrinine is not on this panel, so the actual 4 panel members are myself, David Pine, Mark Casaloya, and Robert Capizzulo. Mark apparently thought it was 6:30, therefore he's living around the corner and he should be here momentarily. He's been pretty up to snuff on all the hearings, so I'd like to try and get some updates concerning a couple of the peer reviews that have come in, and just kind of want to see if Mr. Lopez would kind of update us on any of those peer reviews, if you have anything.
Good evening, Mr. Chair, members of the board. For the record, my name is Israel Lopez with the Gutierrez Company. I believe we haven't received anything new from the peer reviewers. I think the correspondence that we had from the peer reviewers is that they were satisfied with all of the revisions that we had made to the plans, and I think those letters came in indicating as such. I haven't
They did, Mr. Chairman, and just the last thing you folks received from myself, it came in from the peer review consultant, were just that he's satisfied that everything had been dealt with properly, and he gave his suggested conditions, which I've, in doing the first draft, have begun to insert those conditions into my first draft, which, depending on what you do tonight, I'll send to you or not send to you in the very near future.
Right, we
That's
did-
the last correspondence, yeah.
Yeah, we did confirm, and they did update us concerning aspects of the interior focuses.
Yep.
The school bus stops, we went over that, the heliport landing areas. Anybody else care to be heard on this particular application tonight? Just for members, for those, your information, any questions you have for this hearing or any other hearings, please address them through the board and not directly to any particular individual. With that, I believe we should be pretty much up to snuff on everything. Sewer,
We did communicate with Director Manini, and he had Tate and Howard review everything. They're all set, subject to complying with the recommendations that they made, which we will.
And again, in doing a draft of a decision, again, depending on what your board does tonight, that I've taken those recommendations from Tate and Howard from the sewer department and incorporate those as a condition in a potential decision,
Okay.
if you're going to ultimately grant something.
okay. All right, can you pass that down to Melissa? Go ahead, Mr. Gutierrez. You ready to go?
Yeah, so, Mr. Chair and members of the board, I know when we last met, the board expressed desire to have some time to consider the size of the project. Obviously, from our standpoint, we think it's a well-designed and well-located project at 150 units. We did also hear the comment about a concern about the impact on public safety and public services, I should say. We think the project will be net positive in terms of the economic impact to the town in terms of taxes and so forth. But all of that notwithstanding, we would be willing to make a contribution to the town for public safety or whatever purpose this board deems appropriate. Obviously, we haven't seen any conditions yet, and, I think that we'd want to make sure that they're consistent with at least what we've discussed throughout the hearings, but we'd be willing to make a commitment of $225,000 to the town
okay.
for a consideration of the project as we've proposed it.
So just to clarify, you're talking about a grant to the town for public safety purposes, not a general grant to the town, specifically for public safety, police, fire?
Yes.
So my comment, and I think, and we appreciate that, the site up there is going to be pretty large in state concerning all of the projects up there. And this was the reason why, if there was an emergency up there, and to get on that site, if that road, God forbid, there was some type of tragedy, explosion or whatever, and blocks that road, that's why we kept on going down that road concerning the public safety aspect of at least having more than one landing area for a helicopter or, something along that line. These projects clearly increase the risk and calls for police and fire, and this particular location and area is getting an awful lot of that activity. And it does put drains on the town services from a public safety standpoint. I appreciate the aspect of doing that, and again, whatever this board decides to do concerning this is absolutely fine. Having that mechanism specifically outlined maybe for police and fire, but it would fall under probably the jurisdiction of the Board of Selectmen.
Well, it's a grant, so the grantor can direct it in a fashion, so the selectmen would have to approve the expenditure, but if the grantor, it says this is to be split between police and fire, then it's got, or said all fire, all police, or whatever. So they have some control over in that way, but once the town has it, then it'll go to that particular department, so it'll be spent by the police chief or the fire chief or wherever it goes.
Okay. All right. That makes me comfortable. Board members, I'm going to turn it over to you for any discussions on what you may want to do. Any comments or questions?
No.
No comments or questions?
Just one question regarding the money he wants to give to the town regarding safety features. Would the police ever be required to do special details at this location?
Oh, that's not under our
I
jurisdiction.
know, I'm just asking.
It's unlikely.
It's unlikely.
Well, I'm just thinking some of
happened yet.
that money put aside would be for that.
Well, the money,
That's out of town money.
the money would go into the police department. Well, I'm just right now, I don't mean to speak for Mr. Gutierrez, I don't know what he intends, but presuming he means police and fire. So split it between police and fire. Half would go to the police, half would go to the fire, and they would determine how it gets spent, but it's going to have to be spent on police items. Maybe it's equipment, maybe it's, you wouldn't do additional manpower because this is not an annual grant, it's a one-time thing.
It's a one-time
So it's really going to be for equipment and improvements and, whatever's necessary in the particular department. There's no other way to do it.
I guess that was my major.
Yeah, key, if it's an annual grant of some fashion, which isn't going to happen, then you could hire additional police officers, firefighters, but you can't do that with a,
Okay.
So
twice that wouldn't do
we
it.
talked about the buses, and the applicant has spent a good amount of time to be able to try and get bus stop locations at the recently started Stone Ridge 2, and also an additional bus stop hubs for the aspects of Stone Ridge 3. I think that's great, and we understand that the school department doesn't like to go into private locations. I don't know what what legal would say if we provide in our decisions, as part of that decision, that the school department has the absolute right.
Let me address that, Mr. Chairman, because I've had considered that, and I've already actually drafted a condition that would work in a decision if you're going to grant it. And the condition, of course, would require that the turnaround be built as it's proposed. The question of whether the school department goes on it initially is the school department's decision. Nobody can govern that or dictate it. But there's also a condition in there, part of the condition will be that when that turnaround is built, an extension of Deer Street, the turnaround, then that portion is going to have to be at the expense of the applicant, plans done, to offer it to the town to accept. If town meetings accept it, then the school department, nobody else could have any question. If town meeting doesn't accept it, then it comes back to the school department to make its own decision. But there's nothing, other than presenting it to town meeting for acceptance, there's nothing else you can do to force the school department to do anything.
Well, part of that decision concerning the site, they would provide us access,
Yes.
even if there's major snowstorms in the next 2 or 3 years, and it's unsafe to drop these kids off on 85, that they can go into the complex, and both Stone Ridge 1 and 2 would provide proper easements to allow that.
Yes.
Would it be accepted as a private way?
You can accept it, yeah, the town could accept it as a private way, and then it's an accepted private way, and the school department at that point should have no objection to utilizing it. But that's it, yeah, that's very unusual. It's not done that often, but it is done, where a town accepts a way as a private way.
As a private way, that means that they'll,
They have the right.
who's responsible for maintaining the
Well,
road?
that condition will be in there too, and that very clearly, even the public portion right now of Deer Street, the requirement's going to be on the applicants, and in this case, all developers up there, to be responsible for all aspects, be it on the private or even the public part of Deer Street. So they're going to be fully responsible for the maintenance and the plowing from Cedar Street all the way up.
Yeah, actually, it is public way up to,
About, yeah,
Stone Ridge- is it Stone
500
Ridge
feet.
1?
Right, correct.
So it's really Stone Ridge 2 and 3 is considered the private way.
Who's responsible for getting accepted at town meeting?
Well, again, all we can ask any applicant to do, or any subdivision, anything else, is that they do the plans, they get it all set, give everything to us, we put it in a warrant article when it's all ready to go. If town meeting accepts it, done. If town meeting rejects it, then that's it.
Can we write in there that the police department and fire department has to support positively?
No.
the town meeting floor?
No, we can't.
We can't?
We can't make them do
They'll
anything.
In order to get the grant?
Well, the grant, I presume,
Condition on that.
I presume what Mr. Gutierrez, sorry, Mr. Lopez is saying, is that if he gets the 150 units, then he's willing to grant the $225,000. That'll become a condition of the decision, so he's got to provide the $225,000 at the appropriate point, which I don't want to speak for him, I don't know, whether that's a building permit or occupancy permit or somewhere in between. But the decision will spell that out.
So, and I want to be clear.
You would write it, though, that it's going to be accepted as a private way.
Yes, that's absolutely,
Right, because
absolutely.
in town meeting, I think they'll be more apt to accept it as a private way, right?
Yeah, no, I think you're right, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's done, but not that often.
So, town meeting, whether it's public or private way, town meeting still has to approve it as a
Sure.
private way.
Well, they have to accept it under the statute, and again, there have been times we've gone to town meeting, and town meeting has not accepted it.
Right.
That happens for various reasons, sometimes good, sometimes bad. It could happen. I'd be very surprised.
Can the condition be private way and/or public?
Well,
You got them both covered?
the way it would come in, we'll say everything is done, everything's built, everybody's certified that it's completed, and the Gutierrez Company has provided the plans and the description that we need to go to town meeting. Then it's really town meeting's decision. So yes, we would present it to the town meeting as an option to accept it as a public and/or a private way. The town meeting would decide that.
And again,
It's just important that it gets described at town meeting as a private
Yes,
way
yes.
for the focus of picking the kids up at the bus stop.
That's
that's the important part.
That's the important part of it. I understand not doing the public way, but at least that has to be explained, it has to be written in the decision
Yes.
for town meeting purposes.
And I'll do
Really
that.
for the safety of the children.
For
more
the
than
kids, yeah.
anything else.
So I'm happy to do that.
Yeah, I'm okay with that. We have a motion?
Well, what are you moving, though?
Motion to accept.
Well, are you looking, ultimately, you've got to approve a decision. So it does sound like there's an inclination to approve the project.
Well, it's
What
gonna be
you
subject to
probably should do is close the public hearing, continue this until maybe the 8th, when you got a meeting anyways, is it the 8th? And at that, before that, I'll have you a
We're gonna have that
decision.
all drafted.
Draft, and you have a chance to review it. So at that meeting on the 8th, having closed the public hearing, that night, if you're prepared to do that, you can vote to approve the decision. So, I mean, I literally can have,
Should we vote, are there any other conditions that anybody else wants? I mean, we
Well,
got,
he's got all the conditions from over there.
you'll get a chance to review it. I think I've got everything that's been talked about in there. Obviously, you're going to have time between now and that hearing to look at it and see if I missed anything, but I think I've got it all in there.
yeah, so we got the crosswalk.
Yep.
And we got the bus stop, okay.
Everything that's been talked about.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Okay.
And again, I'll put the condition in relation to the grant, too.
All right, so why don't we do this? Why don't we, we'll take a motion to close the hearing, have council draft up the decision as discussed tonight, and then board members will have an opportunity to review that prior to our next hearing.
Okay, I'll make a motion.
Motion by Dave, is there a second? Second by Mark? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? That's unanimous. So it'll be on the 8th.
You close the public hearing, but you're actually continuing then the matter to the 8th.
That's exactly what I'm doing. So we're going to continue, we're closing the public aspect of the hearing.
On the 8th, yes, that works for
Why
me.
don't you check first? What about board members? We've got the 8th.
That's our next meeting.
You've already got that.
It doesn't matter with
I
him
think
because he
you've got-
doesn't show up anyways when he's supposed to.
I think you have the other 240Bs that night, is that right?
We do.
Yeah, so you'll have, yeah.
That's the next.
Some of them are gonna be really
those are at
early.
6:30.
Those are 6:30?
So we can do 6.
6 o'clock, that
6
makes
o'clock
sense, yeah.
visual.
What time do we have the 8th on?
6. It's
6?
6 o'clock.
All
Got
right,
it on 6:30.
all right, so we'll,
As of right
we'll-
now, because it was the other two. So Israel will go first. At 6.
yeah, we'll get him done the first time. Okay, so with that, the hearing will be closed, and we will continue the public aspect of the hearing will be closed, and we'll continue this to the 8th of May at 6 PM.
Yeah.
Okay? All right, great. With that, that'll be it. It's been voted on. Thank you, Mr. Gutierrez. We appreciate your help. Sorry it took long to get here. Okay. The next on the agenda is the T-Man Properties LLC. If you would come on up front.
I guess. Sure you wanted it? Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Thank you.
These guys gotta be brothers. They gotta be brothers.
I'll move over, you put them next to him.
This is my twin, actually, right?
Okay. This is on the application of T-Man Properties LLC, 293 West Street, Milford, for a special permit and relief to Section 2.3 of the zoning bylaw, and in order to establish a contractor's yard on a parcel of land consisting of 36,599 plus or minus square feet, located on the southeasterly side of West Street and known as numbered as 284. This has gone through town planning. Let me just kind of read the application real quickly. The applicant is stating that the site was previously a tavern for decades, a commercial use which caught fire beyond repair. The proposed use contractor's yard is allowed by special permit and is in harmony with the zoning bylaws. The proposed use is in a highway commercial district, the CC zone. The site abuts an auto body automotive use to the west and is surrounded by business commercial uses. The proposed building is proposed in a location that conforms to the current zoning setbacks, where the previous building was pre-existing non-conforming in front, and the front yard setback as well. Concerning the proposed use of the premises will not congestion. Location on Route 140, which is a roadway with higher capacity than more than common roadways. This use will have less trips per day, and that the long-standing tavern that was located on the site for decades, which was operated with no detriment to the surrounding traffic flows, traffic volumes. The proposed site is also showing the closing of the open curb cuts and replacing them with one defined curb cut, aligned with the existing driveway on the opposite side of Route 140, enhancing overall traffic flows and safety to and from the site. Concerning the question that was asked of the applicant, that the proposed use of the premises will not cause harm to the neighborhood or create a nuisance or hazard affecting the health, safety, and welfare of the public, the applicant states the proposed use will not cause harm or create a nuisance to the surrounding areas, as the proposed use is allowed by special permit under the zoning bylaw. The site's adjacent and surrounded by commercial uses, including an auto body, automotive use that abuts the property to the west and directly across the street. The site has been a tavern for decades, and this use will have less activity than the previous use, and the traffic flow and patterns will improve due to the closing of the open curb cuts along Route 140. The proposed increases the green space along the front of the site, enhance the aesthetics along Route 140. With that, the applicant did go in front of the planning board. And the planning board on March 4th recommended a favorable recommendation. The town planner's letter indicates that the applicant requests a special permit to establish a contractor's yard use on the subject property. Contractor yard uses require a special permit from the ZBA in the CC district. Specifically, the applicant proposes the redevelopment of the site of the former Tradesman Tavern that was razed after being destroyed in the fire in 2021. The proposed is to construct a 50 by 95-foot warehouse and office building with associated parking on the subject property. The driveway and access along the West Street 140 frontage reflects the previous approved configuration, and this results in only one driveway with the restoration of the remaining frontage and curbed landscape buffer island between the front parking lot and the street. Adequate off-street parking is provided, and all other zoning requirements appear to be met, and therefore issuance of a ZBA permit is needed. Therefore, they did recommend a favorable report be sent off to this board. With that, the applicants are here, so please, the floor is yours, and give us an idea of what you're trying to do.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman and board members. John Nenott with D&L Design Group. I'm here tonight representing T-Man Properties and Bartlett Brothers Landscaping. The chairman just pretty much went through the entire project. This is the old Tradesman site. I believe anybody here would know where that is. We're proposing a 4,750 square foot steel building What's a little bit more unique about this, all the garage doors except for one will be located in the back of the building, so they're not facing 140. There is one that is facing the front of the building, because that will be a drive-through bay that they can pull in one end and pull out the other. The plans show, I believe, 4 offices, garage doors, those are where the offices would be, with man doors at each location there. The drainage is pretty simple. Right now, there's no drainage on site. The water sheet flows across the site and gets, and goes into a couple swales that empty into the wets. What we're proposing is a water quality 4-bay along the entire left side or southern side of the property that will catch the water prior to entering the wetlands and help with getting out some suspended solids out of the water bin contaminants before it gets into the wetlands. We're proposing using the existing septic system and well. The leaching field will be replacing the tanks, but the leaching field was put in only a couple of years prior to the tradesmen. It's oversized for the use they're going to use, but there's no reason to do anything to the leaching field. It's brand new. It's a raised system. Other than that, the site is pretty self-explanatory. I'm here to answer any questions the board might have. The biggest improvement, I think, is the closure of the wide-open curb cut along 140. People used to fly in into the tradesmen, take a hard right in there. Now it's lined up directly across from Plains Automotive across the street. It'll be much more controlled in and out, and the traffic flow should be much better.
This would be for landscaping, is that the business?
That's correct.
Yeah. Would there be any stockpiling at all of anything, any kind of
No
materials?
material, right?
No, sir.
Yeah, because you got a lot of wetlands on this side.
So the site is wetlands on the left and behind.
This is not being fenced, correct?
No.
You have a fence on the northern side?
Yeah, there's a fence on the northwesterly side between the auto detailer's business and the auto body detail business and our site. There's already a
That
fence.
fence is not on your property?
No, it is not.
I think that was the only thing that didn't burn down, right?
Okay. Anybody care to be heard on this particular application?
I'll make a motion to approve it.
Yep. Okay. Second?
Second.
Second by Bob. Any other comments? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? That's
Thank you, Bob.
unanimous. Congratulations, thank you. You got the 20-day appeal period, as you know. Should be good to go. Looks like you're going to keep it a nice, clean site. Good luck. Enjoy it.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mitch.
Good luck.
Sign this plan. The next applicant. Find the agenda again. Nuno Katoya? You doing that, John? You doing the next one?
No.
This is,
Parkhurst?
This is Parkhurst?
Yeah.
Who's doing Parkhurst?
6:30?
6:20. We can push it back if they don't show.
Continue at the end, maybe, see if they show up.
I'm doing the town of Milford number 5.
That's the next one.
Highway Department?
Yeah, so why don't we go right to the town of, the highway department, and we'll push off the other applicant unless apparently he's not here at this point. Recuse yourself, okay?
Are you going to have 4 members?
Yeah.
So, Dave, you probably should give that option to, if you always give the applicant the option to continue it if it's only 4. It's a special permit, correct?
So on this hearing, there will be 4 members. Of course, the applicant has the right to go with 4 or continue it. It's up to the applicant. But,
So So Scott, what that means is you need 3 out of 4, correct?
Correct.
No, 4 out of 4.
4 out of 4.
Often people will continue it. You have confidence in your 4.
A lot of times they do continue.
Let's not continue, please.
We need to hold all the cards, Scott. We need to hold all the cards.
Jerry, I own the property that abuts this. Do I have to recuse myself?
You could, you're a direct abutter?
Yeah.
So you got 3, so you're going to have to continue it. You can't grant it, so.
Sorry.
Okay. We know.
Well,
You want to continue it?
yeah, since we don't have a full board, I think the applicant,
Yeah, you
John
can't.
his way or no?
I understand, they need 4 votes. There's nothing you can do.
Scott, you're going to need to sign this for me. What's that next hearing on? When are we going to put them on?
May 8th. At 6.
Did we put times on those yet?
What you do, Gutierrez at 6 and do this at 6:15, you can get the others at 6:30,
Yeah.
6:30, so.
So this is continued for a period of, well, it's going to put to May 8th, 25.
The only one missing is...
Sorry, Scott. You may need to remind him.
I'll remind you.
To recruit some members.
Chris was sick apparently, so.
Oh, no, I didn't see him.
You like that, Lars?
Fancy, huh?
Heavyweight, right?
Take care of you guys.
Aerodynamics you can throw. Yeah, right?
I once got escorted, police escort out of a Grafton zoning board meeting.
No
Yeah.
kidding.
Honest to God. They wanted to kill me. Did they do that? I
They just continue.
just, yeah, you voted to continue.
Continue with this one.
Yeah.
You missed it, Melissa. They didn't vote.
Okay,
We didn't do it. We've done 2 days.
You did consensus.
So, you too.
all right, this is on the application of Alpine Place. Please come to the front. Make yourself known. And I'll read the notice. This is on the application of Alpine Place LLC, 40 Alpine Road, Franklin, for a special permit pursuant to the Section 2.3 of the zoning bylaw in relation to a parcel of land located at the northeasterly side of West Street, known and numbered as 225 West, shown on Assessors Sheet 39, Lot 47B. Petitioner seeks a special permit in order to utilize the subject property as a contractor's yard to include a proposed 2-story, 7,200-square-foot more or less building, together with 15 parking spaces and grading associated with that. So this here, let me read the, I'll just read the brief summary of this. So the applicant is seeking a special permit. The site is currently vacant. The proposed use, contractor's yard, is allowed by a special permit and is in harmony with the zoning bylaw, and proposed use is a highway commercial CC zone. The proposed building is proposed in a location that conforms to the current zoning setbacks. Concerning the question of the applicant, will the premises create undue traffic, congestion, and impaired pedestrian safety? The applicant states that the proposed use is located on Route 140, which is a roadway higher capacity more than common driveways. Minimal traffic will be generated due to the proposed use with no detriment to the surrounding traffic flows and traffic volumes. The proposed site is using an existing curb cut, so no additional curb cuts will be proposed and will cause less disturbance on the roadway. Concerning the question, will the proposed use be not harm to the neighborhood or create a nuisance or hazard affecting the health, safety, and welfare of the general public? The applicant states that the proposed use will not cause harm or nuisance to the surrounding area, as the proposed use is allowed by a special permit under the zoning bylaw. The site is adjacent to and surrounded by a business/commercial uses, auto body, automotive use, The site has been vacant for decades, and this property will address drainage issues that currently exist in the area, and its proposed drainage system will collect, clean, and direct runoff area away from the area that now causes issues on Route 140. With that, the planning board did review this petition, this application on April 1st, and planning board has made a favorable recommendation. See town planner's letter. Town planner letter, and I'll paraphrase. The applicant requests a special permit to construct a contractor's yard associated parking on the subject property. Zoning bylaw recently amended to allow such uses in the ZBA special permit in the CC zoning district. Specifically, the proposal includes the construction of a 30 by 120 square foot, two-story building. The 3,600 square foot first floor will consist of contractor storage and garage space. A 1,200 square foot second-story mezzanine will be utilized as for office. Access to the site will be via an easement over the adjacent parking lot for the office building at 215 West Street. Off-street parking is being provided for 15 spaces, and 11 are required. Although relevant zoning requirements appear to be met, therefore they recommend a favorable report to be forwarded to the ZBA. Site plan approval from the planning board will be required, subject to the actual special permit being granted. With that, I will turn this over to John Bennett from, where is he? D&L Design Group.
Good evening, John Nenner from D&L Design Group. I'm here tonight representing Alpine Place LLC. I'm here with Marcelo Alves, the owner of Alpine Place LLC. Once again, the application pretty much explains a lot of it. Some tricky things that I would like to explain, or some things that you really don't get from the application, is that this is a two-tier parking area, so the building is almost like a walkout, but a reverse walkout, with the garages in the basement down in the front, with the bulk of the pavement and some parking to the left, and then a parking lot for the offices up on the upper tier, which is this parking lot right here, and a sidewalk to enter those offices on the upper floor. There was another site plan proposal for this site, and at that time, they had brought the driveway in from down on 140 at the northwesterly portion of the site, with a long driveway all the way up and into the parking area in the front. Very steep grades there, very difficult to do. The detention basin for the entire complex is located right here.
In the existing complex?
For the existing complex is located right here. We will be doing upgrades to that for our drainage, but our drainage will be getting caught and going into this basin here. The other site plan was already, all the drainage studies were done and everything for the other site plan, and that had way more pavement than this one. So we don't foresee any problems taking care of the drainage on the site. We are utilizing an easement that was, so when this lot was cut off, they left an access easement through the parking lot to get to it. The prior site plan that was proposed for this didn't use that. We are using that, so we're not adding that additional pavement to the site.
Wasn't the last time, didn't I see something like 5,400 square foot office building?
Yeah, this is reduced too. This is.
Well, it was 5,400 before.
Yeah, it was 5,400. So this is reduced down. They're definitely not maxing out the site of what they could do there. They're doing something of what they need. They're not trying to max out the site. It's sandwiched between two buildings. So the upper ones are business condos on the top side, and the bottom offices are medical use buildings. I'm happy to answer any questions the board may have.
Okay, I'm going to turn it over to board members before I put it out to the public.
Yeah, is he okay with the condition that no outdoor storage?
Certainly.
Okay, all right. Just because you have a doctor's office
Yeah,
right there, and then
absolutely.
you have a business park behind there, so it's kind of to keep it more, it's a nice design of the building, but I think that have no outdoor storage, so someone's not storing campers, or, people get crazy with storing stuff. I think that would be, okay.
Absolutely.
Yeah, thank you.
Dave? Not yet?
Not yet, no.
Bob?
I'm a little perplexed. Contractor's yard, this looks more like an apartment building than a
a contractor's
The
yard.
garage doors, and then the mezzanine is their offices. They allow so many square feet of mezzanine space above it. It's a two-tier.
I get that, but I thought...
Similar to the buildings there, you've got, in the building in front, you've got access to the first floor.
I get
And then
it.
back, it's like a first floor.
I get it, but once again, my impression of a contractor's yard will just be for us,
Yep.
okay, with the, you
Yeah,
know,
they have the office space in that contractor bay.
right, and it's, this is just garages
An office above,
with an office above.
which is level.
Is that the definition of a contractor's yard?
Yeah, so it's two-level, but there'll be a connection from inside up to the office. It's not
I get
just, you can't just, it's not just outside access to the back office. So what we tried to do, Bob, is to make this fit into, make the contractor's yards fit in, the look of the building fit into what's there now. So you got office in the front, you kind of got office in the back. So we didn't want to go with a strictly a steel
So
building.
who would be one of the tenants here?
It could be a painter, it could be a tile guy, anyone that needs contractor space inside. I believe that's what you're planning, rug guy, garage door guy.
Correct, and we have an office right now in Franklin, so we could do a secondary office here in Milford. Also, we're going to stay there.
That's what the building would look like.
Yeah, no, once again,
Pretty looking building.
it's a good-looking building. I just, when I hear the word contractors, yeah, I didn't picture a nice building. Maybe it's too nice of a building, I guess, and like I
Pretty
said,
looking building.
it looks like apartments to me. The other concern I have is I know there's been existing access drive there. You know, is there going to be,
Yeah, the front of it's
I would like to see some kind of
over
safety,
here, John.
a couple of speed bumps.
That's an office.
I don't know, I'm not,
Excuse me? I'm sorry, Bob, what was that?
a couple of speed bumps too, I guess. Is going to be
All
one,
right,
two,
so you
three?
see where the walk is, Bill, Bob, on the site plan, right here?
Yeah,
Okay, so there's parking there.
I get it,
There'll be parking on the other side of the easement.
of the easement as well.
No, coming in.
Yeah,
Coming in, yeah, so.
Yeah.
Come in that way.
There's parking here now.
So there's parking there. And that access is going to be going,
The access will come right through here and right up between, that's basically a driveway now for the parking on both sides.
all right, so we need to get that identified.
Let me see if I have that.
What's the elevation difference between,
yeah,
Yes, I
it's on
have
the big
that.
sign?
I have that on this plan.
John, you going to put a curb at the bottom so you don't have any spillover?
A curve on the bottom here.
You got the parking area?
Yeah, I'm showing
along the bottom, just to
yeah,
keep everything from
absolutely, absolutely,
Self-contained, the drainage,
yes.
all your on-site stuff is going right into detention.
Somebody doesn't, this shows the building, it doesn't really show the parking, it does show the parking lot and where this goes through the parking lot. But we could,
Maybe, I mean, could you do like just a buffer along, maybe in between the medical building and,
The parking on this side and then walking into this door. So putting bumpers in an access area,
He was asking for some like
Defined in the bylaw.
just so when you're at the medical building. you're not staring at a
oh, for a
contract.
buffer.
yeah, so if you have green space there, would you be willing? Yeah.
Like it's going to be contracted spaces,
There's already a
spaces for rent.
Yeah, would you be willing to plant some?
Opposed to one
Some like
contractor.
shrubs, so when they're staring at it, they're not
is
looking
not
at a
unheard of.
contract. Just because it's a medical.
arborvitae's that grows fast.
But
As long as it doesn't
well, I
bring
think we can
water into
monitor
the
that,
site.
but
That's all.
what the uses are going to be. Mr. Chairman, if I could ask just a question, if I could? This is not obviously going to be used by one contractor. You're going to have, these are going to be rental spaces. You're proposing to rent, so how many rental spaces are there?
Six.
So, and Alpine is going to use one?
Probably.
The others can be rented by any contractor?
Well, most of them are my trades that
Okay.
work with us on building our homes.
They might lease space from you.
Correct.
that.
I've asked Melissa to get the.
She's gonna get the zoning
definition of
bylaw.
Contractor's yard, I need to know the definition.
I looked it up already.
Yeah, that's what we're here for.
Well, it's really not, I mean, it's really not a contractor's job because there's no outdoor storage.
Right.
So when you limit the outdoor storage, anything would going to be stored inside, so it's really an office with
Yeah,
the
there's
garage.
no debris going to be allowed outside.
Exactly.
So essentially, it's no
Case in
different than
point.
Mountain Street right here.
It's not a contractor's job.
Mountain Street.
I know, but
Was
it falls
Yes.
into the, it falls into that
into it.
category
Stored
on the
outside,
zone- on the
parking.
zoning.
Because they got garages.
Because they got garages.
I just want to make sure.
That's fine.
And I think just a simple buffer, you contain all the water. If anything, it's going to help the medical building, because everything's probably blowing right through it anyways.
Correct.
You're going to now channel it over to the retention basin.
So from the second floor aspect, you have, how many square feet of office?
3,600.
3,600, and out of that 3,600, are they designated? Yeah, I will, but I want to get this question through. So out of that 3,600, is it broken up on,
Directly above the garage bays.
so each garage bay will have their own private office?
Correct.
And it's direct entry from the top or inside the bay?
Stairs from.
And there'll be bathrooms in a hallway or common or something like that?
Yes.
Common area. You'll end up with like a 10 or 11 foot inside the garage, and then the mezzanine stretches over it, and that's where the offices are going to be? Correct.
All right, why don't we see if we have any comments from the public? So if you have a comment, please state your name, where you're from. Thank you.
Lawrence Gelly, 230 West Street.
Okay.
I'm right next door to that property. If I may show you on the map.
Go ahead.
This property here.
Okay.
When I heard a contractor site, I assumed bulldozers or whatever.
No.
To me, that's what a contractor was. Now I understand it a little bit better tonight. But we're concerned about drainage, number one. When they built that big complex in back,
Silent Street, the condos?
yeah, it was supposed to be condos, then it turned into
Right.
offices, but we got hit pretty bad with rain coming down from that site, the old
Right.
Gavron site. So there's a lot of wildlife that goes through here. I see them all the time, and I assume that was part of the wildlife sanctuary back there too. Now that's going to be going away, so.
Well, that, just so the history of this was when the doctors did the medical building in front,
Yeah.
they wanted that site in the back for expansion. And as a matter of right, they could do that. The last one I saw was a 5,400 square foot office building, which was much larger than what this is. The engineer's indicating that, and please show him and direct him where that drainage is going to go, all the site drainage, because it should not be going on his property at
Yeah,
all.
so we'll be cleaning this out and upgrading this detention basin.
There's a treatment in there right now.
Yeah, we know. Yeah, we'll
So,
definitely be
so
upgrading.
where are you piping it so he knows?
You want to see?
So everything will be piped down into this basin from this parking lot.
Will you be touching any trees in this area?
We were cleaning out this detention basin that already exists and expanding it.
Okay, but are you gonna cut down trees?
Yeah, because there's not supposed to be trees in there.
It's in the basin itself.
In the basin itself?
In the basin itself. We're not, so the last site plan showed a driveway coming in through here all the way. I have. actually
Right,
have
an old cotway, basically.
Yeah, so we're not touching that. We're not touching anything along this whole buffer, just in the.
Not using that site at all for any entrances or exits?
Right, before the other entrance.
So in other words, you guys are gonna be putting all the animals out of there and everything else again?
Well, anything that detention basin is supposed to be kept up and no brush
I
and
understand
trees
that.
and stuff are not supposed to
But
be.
you know how
growing
many
there.
animals go in and out of there all the
Well,
time?
at least we're not touching any of the buffer or any of the green space.
Touching any of that, they got to do they got to do the basin, and the basin is not working properly.
We have to do the basin.
We understand
That's why
that.
there's drainage problems.
But,
If the basin works, then they'd probably be okay with it, I don't know.
which is fine with the town and everything, but my eyes is, you guys are building, clearing land, but you guys are not building nothing. Now you're gonna go and clear this out, where's the animals gonna go?
Well, there was animals on your property before you built your house, right?
Yeah, but you guys keep clearing land.
They have the right to develop a property because they own it. Just like if you had a lot next to your father, you have the right to develop it and build a house on it. I understand what you're saying. But
Well, that's what happened to me. I'm across the street.
Yeah.
And when they added,
What name, ma'am?
Virginia Henzerack, I'm 226.
Yeah.
When the motor parts place next to me, oh, we're not gonna touch all those, yeah, well, all of a sudden, I come home from work one day, all the trees were gone next to my house.
They're
It's
not,
like, I
they're not
get
touching
lied to by
anything,
these
they're
guys
not
all the
touching
time.
anything in that area, but they have to get to that detention basin that is not functioning and catching the proper drainage.
So this has to still go through site plan review, and it has to go through conservation. So you guys will have more input through site plan review for the drainage, and the clearing will show a definitive limit of clearing on there, so you'll be able to see exactly where that tree line is going. This is just the first step to have us move forward to site plan review and through conservation. So you'll get 2 more notices of public hearings. So we tried to keep everything as far away
I have
from
no problem with that.
the residential area, and we tried to make the building as attractive as possible. And we purposely located it directly behind this one to try to.
And I have no
serene
problem
it.
with the building and stuff, it's just the area
It's
where
the woods.
we watch the animals and the hawks and all that stuff in the backyard all the time, you know?
And they're not disturbing
Yeah,
that
some of the
area with the
existing
exception of what they need to do to improve the drainage.
Yeah, if they're not disturbing what's the animal, I'm more, it's like the whole town, the railroad took all that land away over there.
You have to.
Where were all the animals going? That's what I'm
We
getting
got
started to
deer that
irritate
walk through
with.
there, we get, you know.
Move out of the state because it's getting so bad.
We have no plans to clear cut this area. We're gonna, but the basin does need to be expanded on a little bit.
How big is your basin gonna be?
I don't know offhand. That'll be part of site plan review when we do all the drainage calcs, but it'll be smaller than the last proposal because we don't have as much impervious area.
When they built this building,
Yeah.
they built that with 10.
Yeah. And they also hooked in a 24-inch drain line from the back
I didn't know that.
down into it. So, yeah, there's a lot
Can
of.
you reuse that drain line? Is it, it's substantial enough that you can reuse the drain line and just work on the detention area?
Yeah, so we'll have to see. We'll see that through site plan, through the drainage analysis and everything. We haven't gotten that far. We'll do that once we get special permit approval, then we'll go forward. Yeah, this is 140. So I think you guys, did you guys send a letter?
This is where we-
Yeah, so before, the entrance was coming in right across the street from you. It's not now. It's coming in through the existing entrance, so.
Time to move my
Well, we're not going to try to, we'll try to leave the buffer along the street, but we do have, this is the area that the basin is. You can see the blue flags there.
Yep.
We will have to clear that. That's supposed to be upkept anyway. It's supposed to be cleaned out
I
and
know,
kept
I
clear
do
across.
construction, I know the whole
Right,
shit.
So I think what you need to probably take a look at, and it'd probably be a good idea, whatever you cut and clear that is not part of the basement, we need to replant and go. So
You gotta get heavy equipment in there, right?
Yeah.
whatever
Where are
we,
you gonna be
whatever,
going in with the heavy equipment
So
for this catch basin?
we'll probably have to run a drain line down through here, so they'll probably make a road from the parking lot down to the basin. We can do that rather than trying to come in from 140, right? And wipe this area around.
well, whatever you disturb
Yeah.
to get that drainage into the culvert, we want replantings.
I just don't wanna see the animals leave. You know, that's my main thing.
Oh, we got it.
You know,
We'll put
I
that-
propose, I like your building idea, I get it, nothing against it. It's just that area.
This frankly is better than what I've seen before.
No, it's
The
fine,
one
I
before
don't mind
was
this building.
huge.
This is the first time we've seen it, so that's...
Yeah.
Yeah, we had.
You see the first one?
No,
No.
this is what we
Oh,
got.
I have a copy of the first one. The first one.
So I got notified
The
about it.
first one wasn't good. Because if you saw the first one, you wouldn't have a problem with this whatsoever. So I think,
This area I'm worried about.
And you guys, like I said, you'll be notified again, site plan review and conservation commission. We'll do everything we can to save as much as we can.
Yes.
so maybe what we should do prior,
I'm sorry, but if we calculations are correct and we can tie into that drainage as he mentioned, we're just going to give it maybe a mini and clean up the basin, and we stop right here at the orange line. So That could happen as well.
That'd
It would
be
in the
perfect.
next- Yeah, it
They're
would
not
be in the
gonna-
next
They're not going to clear out
meetings.
anything more than they need to.
I don't want to.
Just as a matter of, just a cost. I mean,
Yeah.
the more you
Indeed,
clear, the more it
indeed,
costs,
so,
and they want to limit their cost.
Okay, why don't we, yeah, because I want to be able to, and I'm glad that the residents came, because your input's important, I think, to this board and this community. You brought your concerns, and clearly, you know, I'm thankful that the entrance is not on that side, because that would have really not been good.
Yeah.
And if you saw the first building, you wouldn't be happy at all, and that would have been as a matter of right, without coming to this board. So I think what we need to do, I think the applicant hears the neighbors. The detention basin has to be taken care of, because it should have been taken care of long ago, because if you got stuff growing in there that's not supposed to grow in there.
So we're supposed to take care of it.
Well, the doctors don't. These guys, they don't. So anyways, my suggestion would be to the board members is anything that is disturbed getting from the building to the detention basin, you need to replant whatever you take out. I think that's a good idea.
But if you do have to take down some big trees, you're not going to...
You're not going to put up
You're not
big
gonna put up
trees,
big
but you
trees.
want to be able to put trees up.
Same
that will
species.
Flourish and grow
Or
high.
whatever.
Whether they're arborvitae's,
They'll
which are
grow
get
and-
real big, so that you're replenishing the area of what you took down. I think that would be a good way to go.
Yeah, that sounds satisfying, at least for the animals, or, like I said, it's like, we love just sitting, he's got little ones, my daughter and son-in-law, they live downstairs, and it's like, they've got younger ones, we sit out front in the summer and watch the animals, and
Okay. All right. Have a seat. We'll continue on. Bob, any questions?
Yeah, what are the offices going to consist of? What will,
The offices?
Yeah.
Therefore, the contractors.
I know, what's going to be in the office, in each office?
Table, chair.
Painter, yeah. Oh, you mean what's going to be in there?
Yeah.
Probably a desk, table, chairs.
A bathroom?
Maybe a little, yeah.
Well, bathroom would be in a hallway for
Central
common.
bathroom, common bathroom.
Common bathroom?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so if there's 4 tenants, it's just to go down the hallway and you got 2 bathrooms or whatever you have.
Okay, just,
Any hazards?
No.
I just have a quick question, and I think and it was a good point bringing up the buffer aspect of this, but on the access coming in, since there's going to be cars parked on both sides of that existing access, and I know that the office building is there any way to stripe or line that so
So it's,
the people that are parking know that that's a right-of-way? And again, you may have to have that in agreement with the current tenant.
correct, yeah, so that's where that would have to go through. We do have a right-of-way over it. Striping it,
Yeah, you don't know.
I don't know.
Maybe.
No, he's just saying so that they know that
So
there's
it's
traffic
identified.
there. It's
So
identified.
this is traffic.
And
Traffic way.
frankly, I
Good for
think,
you, that way they're not parking, you're trying to get in and people are parking.
Right. So
you could color it like the,
well, it's a right-of-way, so you need cooperation.
Yeah, so we would have
you could
to,
highlight it and color it,
Yeah,
yellow,
yeah.
okay?
that brings
Well,
attention.
I think the doctor's office probably would prefer something like that for the safety of their patients and also for
Yeah, so-
their employees.
we will definitely approach them on that.
If I may, my wife happens to be a patient up there, and the people park in this area.
Right. And,
I
yeah,
don't know how far down, I know there's a right-of-way here, but I don't know if
the right-of-way is,
that's where the access is going to be, that's right where people are parking right now, so.
So I think they park on both sides of that. So that's kind of like the drive aisle now, and they park to the right of it, and they park to the
Well,
left.
sometimes they'll park on it because there's nothing happening in the
Yeah.
back.
And there's
Yeah, right.
usually 2 sets of cars here.
Right, and, but then there's actually
I know,
more
there's not
parking there, but
parking.
nobody uses it.
Right.
They
want to get closer to the building.
Yeah, the building owners understand that there's a full access right.
Yeah.
And until something gets built in the back, they're going to park all over that parking lot.
Okay. Correct. That's fine, thank you.
Any other questions or comments? Okay,
What is the yellow one there?
so what I would do is,
Building.
this side of the building. Okay.
I won't do a story.
Yeah, so some of the things that I'd like to get, or propose to put in the decision is, there's clearly no outside storage,
Equipment or materials?
no outside storage, period, whether it be equipment or materials. All vehicles, of course, need to be fully registered vehicles. There'll be a buffer, a shrub buffer, prefer arborvitaes every, what is it, 4 feet, 6 feet?
6 feet, they grow pretty big.
Yeah, every 6 feet on the buffer between the existing two-story building and the new structure. And then I'd also like to add any disturbed areas to the left of the site near the detention basin. If work's got to occur within that detention, any disturbed areas, any trees that are to be taken down to be replaced on the site. And I would say that those should be sizable, and as far as, and I think the arborvitaes are the ones that grow the biggest and the tallest.
Pines, you can do pines, things like that. But
Pine trees,
they're gonna
arborvitaes.
maneuver around the big stuff anyways, so.
Correct, that's, you know.
And I would recommend that you probably put together a shrub plan for the Conservation Board on the disturbed areas, because, you know, it's going to be subject to conservation and site plan anyways. I'd like to get that on the plan so the abutters know where things are going once you identify how you're going to get into that detention basin. Again, this is strictly garage storage for subcontractors. We're not going to see any heavy equipment up there, so I'm sure there'll be a restriction on having any heavy machinery up there, because that's not what the site's used for. And there'll be no outside storage of material or any of that stuff. So that's my recommendation based on what I'm hearing. Any other board members want any other comments?
No, I think we addressed everything.
So if not, I will take a motion under those conditions. Motion by Dave, second by Dave Claro. All those in favor? Opposed? One opposition, Bobby Capps. So 4 in favor, 1 opposed.
I thank the board.
Thank you very much. And if you would, the abutters, if you would please give your name and number to Melissa so that at least you'll be able to, you're not going to get a certified mail, I think, with the Conservation Board, are they?
Yes.
They'll get noticed.
They will?
They'll get noticed.
They'll get noticed? Okay. All right, that's fine. As far as the Planning Board coming back, they probably will not get that notice.
No, I think they do. Site plan review, they get notice.
I'm not certain whether that.
No, it's just, they announce it as a public hearing.
Oh, okay.
So depending on when you're going to go back, they're not going to know unless they're on top of the notices. So one of you may be given at least Melissa a call so that you know when the next planning board hearing is, you're going to get notified by conservation. Okay? So with that, this hearing is now concluded, and those conditions will be put in place.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Very much.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for your input. We appreciate it. We have,
I want to help, but I don't know where.
Oh, I got my name on it. Yeah.
This Nuno Couture never showed up, huh?
never showed up. Can't hear it.
I will.
Give him the opportunity, if he just didn't realize it was tonight, we can just postpone.
Yeah, okay, that's fine. Postpone to the next meeting.
All right, so I've got a motion to postpone the next hearing.
We're still waiting on the one that didn't show up,
Yeah,
and that was scheduled for what time?
that was scheduled for 6:20.
We're not here to continue it, so this doesn't happen very often, but it has happened.
But we can postpone it, and then they
You
can,
can postpone it or deny it, your choice.
again,
It might be an improvement.
Okay, thank you.
You can't, you'd have to, It's a little unusual to...
I have a motion to postpone the,
Dave, well, it's a little unusual to continue a hearing when the person doesn't show up and doesn't communicate at all. Typically, what the boards have done in the past is deny it. And then, if they really want it, which never happens, but if they really do, then they've got a process, they can go to the planning board, seek planning board approval to reapply.
why I came.
So what boards, and I don't think, it probably hasn't happened in a long time, but it has happened enough over the years. Typically, they don't show up.
Is there a 2-year wait period?
No, there's a process in the statute and the bylaw whereby if it's been denied, you can still come back, but you need approval probably by a 4/10 vote from the planning board to come back, and then you need approval from this board to come back. So you need sort of those 2 approvals to come back. And again, I'm not saying don't continue it, but if you do continue, we've got to give notice all over again. But again, you decide, but typically in the past, you've simply denied them.
I'll take a motion well, if you want to make a motion to deny, they can go through the procedure and try and come back.
What if something happened to the guy?
We can't continue anything, we hadn't opened it up. We have to open it up.
You have to reschedule and start over again, that's what you're saying. Now, again, I'm not sure what the time frame is from their application, or how we're running up against the period where they can get a construction permit. So you need to, do you know when it was filed, Melissa?
Can I see your copy right here?
I really don't want to deny it.
Does that say on the
There's a
20
possibility.
This was issued on, this was stamped on February 26th.
That's what I mean. There's a lot of things.
Down on it here.
All right, let's continue.
It's February.
Continue, and this is your next time tonight.
All right.
I mean, listen-
Mark wants to continue, let's continue.
I think we should continue.
I'm going to have to open it to continue.
If I hated the idea, I'd say deny it, but it's not.
Well, you're not going to continue it, you're going to reschedule it.
All right, why don't we do this? We'll make a motion to reschedule
Yep.
to April 8th, May 8th.
Put them last, though, put them last, they can come
So
in late.
motion by Dave to reschedule it to April 8th. Second?
Second.
Second by Mark. All those in favor?
April 8th.
One,
April 8th, you mean May 8th?
May 8th.
May 8th.
1, 2,
Yep.
2, yep,
1, 2.
3. That's unanimous. Okay, rescheduled.
You can ask, sure. Dave,
Hi.
Hi.
you have a question?
So, this case didn't show up tonight, and I live right next door, and I did have a couple of concerns about the property. So, apparently he wants to expand, go up, go out. There's not that much room between my property line and what he wants to do. And so the lady upstairs was very nice, showed me the plans
Yeah.
and whatnot, was very helpful. And apparently, he said he wants to just go 6 inches out from the existing building to the step,
Yeah,
and make
okay,
it even with the step.
gotcha.
So the step is 14 inches, which in the whole scheme of things isn't that big a deal, which only leaves 9 feet from that to my fence line, which still I'm okay with, because it will, I mean, if you've seen the house, it's going to be a huge improvement, anything he wants to do. My concern is that underneath that house is a stream. So the stream, I'm afraid, when he's digging and disrupting everything, is going to flood my property. Because I already have a sump pump, I already have a French drain.
Well, what we'll do is,
Is it a
And I
new
know that's-
foundation?
I'm sorry?
Is it a new foundation that he's digging? Because you don't have
Yeah,
to.
because he's,
well, we're not...
I mean, how is he going to expand the
First of all,
house
we're not
3
hearing
feet?
this, and we really shouldn't, because we're rescheduling.
Yeah, no, I know.
I think what you should do, maybe talk with the town engineer to get your concerns prior to the next scheduled hearing, and then we'd like you back at the next scheduled hearing.
Yeah.
That way, everything is laid out to see where
Exactly.
exactly everything is.
That's why I was hoping he'd
But I
be here,
think-
just so I could ask
But I think
him
you
some-
need to definitely make sure that Melissa has your phone number and contact information. It's scheduled for May 8th. Maybe he won't show up, maybe if he doesn't show up, he's done. But in any event, we'll get more, maybe get the engineer and get you more clarity, because if there's a water issue down there.
Did the planning board make a recommendation on this one?
This one here, yeah.
Favorable.
Yeah, they did. Yeah.
Also contact the town planner, might be able to
Yeah,
help you.
yeah, Larry Duncan, you can probably...
Have you met the owner?
Yes.
You have?
Yeah, he did, I mean, he didn't explain everything he was going to do.
Yeah.
There's a lot to do there.
Yeah, I remember when it was on the market, it was, the basement was flooded all the time.
Yeah, because if you go down there, you can
Yeah.
visibly see the stream in between the concrete.
Oh, yeah.
Running right through it.
Yeah.
So, I mean,
Actually, it may be a good idea to talk to the town planner and town engineer.
Yeah.
And maybe whatever piping is necessary to get to the street drain to avoid anything from flowing. That would be a good idea.
yeah, because I already have like, water is my enemy, so I'm always on top of all of anything that's, every time I see the French drain start to fill up, I get nervous, but, so that's all taken care of. And the other concern I have is the asbestos siding on it, to make sure.
That's his issue. More than likely, they'll probably do a vinyl siding as they usually do when they go
But
over.
if he's expanding it, he's going to disrupt that whole side.
He would have to get an abatement.
He has to get licensed.
This be him?
Yeah, it's too late now.
Walking in right
Is
now.
this him?
Too late.
Yep, he's walking
It's
in.
too late. He's rescheduled. Okay, so make sure you do that, see the town planner, town engineer, and we'll address the other stuff when the hearing is rescheduled, okay?
Yeah.
All right, great, thank you. With that, I'll take a motion to adjourn. Motion by Dave, second by Mark. All those, excuse me, we're in the middle of a public hearing. All those in favor to adjourn? That's unanimous. Thank you. Good night, everyone.